God, like when me and God are when I'm in sync with God, He ain't in sync with me. But when I'm in sync with God, it gives me discernment. It gives me an easier spirit of discernment.
Okay.
When I'm in sync with Jay, it gives me an easier discernment on when things are not right or when things are going well, what needs to be tweaked.
Yeah.
And that really that I think is what busyness, the feeling of overwhelm or doing too much is attacking in your relationship. That connection, being in sync. Just because we're in sync does not mean that we're identical.
Correct.
It just really means that I know him, he knows me. We're moving at the same rate.
This is the B-side, 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 the marriage. This is the B-side, 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 the marriage.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Bside of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Rashonda, and this is my husband and co-host,
Jason.
And here at the B-side, we talk about everything related to marriage. The good, the bad, the real, the A, and the B-side. So if this is your first time joining us, welcome. You're now part of the family. And if you're, one of our, already a family member, thank y'all for coming back again. If you're watching on YouTube, you only can watch it one place.
Yeah.
Let me slow down, okay? So if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to rate, review, comment, subscribe, all the things. And if you're listening on any of the audio platforms, do the same thing. That's relevant to that. Okay?
As well, follow us on Facebook at the B-side of marriage and on Instagram at B-side of marriage.
All right, so let's jump in.
All right.
With that A or B side, will we share either a positive or a real moment from our week?
All right. Well, I'm gonna give it an A side.
Okay.
Being that it's been spring break for our kids, they actually been pretty good at home. Surprisingly, they've been pretty good at home. So I don't have any complaints about them. I had to talk to them a few times, but it wasn't like they was wilding out, basically. So, what about you?
I'm gonna go with a B. Like you said, this week has been spring break, and I've really been dealing with mommy guilt. It's been hitting hard this week because the kids have been home, you're working from home, and I've been going into the office. So, womp.
Okay, well, so then we go to our P2P share where we share something we're listening to, reading, or watching. What you got?
I've been listening to a lot of praise and worship music. Todd Galbraith. Okay, and he has an album called Encounter. Really good. I think he just released a new single. I think it's his new single, He Never Fails. And that's such a powerful song. So I definitely think you should add that to your rotation. As well as Ty Tribbett. He just released, re-released, you're right. He released the live version of his latest project.
Yeah.
And of course, you get all the energy as though you're in the room. So definitely check that one out as well. I don't know what it's called. Live Again, Live Again.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it quickly. If not, All Things New, the live version.
So for me, I've been this week, even last week, I've been listening to some Miles Monroe. It's been a I'd say a while, but it's I normally listen to more of his marriage things when you talk about marriage, but this time I was just listening to more about the purpose God has given you, who you are, things like that. And it's, so it's been really good though. Just kind of opening, just kind of confirmation. So
Okay.
But yeah, so you can find all of those on YouTube or somewhere else, or like Spotify,
or somewhere.
Like, so you can get videos, you can get the audio, so it's there all over. So because
That's too funny.
He speaks pretty often. So okay, so
nope, that's my turn.
That's your turn. What do you mean?
Yeah, my turn is to. Hey, babe. So what are we talking about today?
Okay, so in my in the past 2 weeks, maybe a little bit longer than that, a lot has been going on, and one of the things that I kind of, I'm gonna give you a little story. One thing, so I've been doing this little challenge with the group of guys that we're doing, and that first week I was trying to do too. I was doing a lot.
Well, what's the challenge? What are y'all doing?
100 miles.
Okay.
So you can run, walk, that's it. There's no biking, just run or walk. So for me, I've been wanting to get some skates. I haven't been on skates in probably 20 something years. And these are not like rollerblades. I'm talking about like the quad skates. So about 2 weeks ago, I was, I was like, let me get back home. So I was getting back on, I was riding the kids to school, and like I said, I didn't fall. I was doing really good. And then I was late getting to the kids' school to pick them up, so I didn't put my skates on this one day, and I was like, I'm gonna ride my bike. Knowing that I can get to the school in probably 4 minutes, I think. 4 minutes flat, I can get to the school, and this is not me going really fast. It's just me put a little pep in my step. Decided, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do the same thing. While riding my bike, I noticed something in the corner of my eye. I was like, oh snap! You know what? Let me text my wife about this. That same motion as I had my phone in my hand, mind you, I have a clip that I can put my phone on, so I can just, leave my phone and ride my bike.
Hands-free.
Hands-free. But for some reason today, I decided I'm not going to do that. I'm going to ride, briskly to school with a phone in my hand. Decided to text my wife as I'm trying to text it. Mind you, I got a little clip on the back of it that opens up. Pops open, but said I didn't need it today, and I'm doing it with my left hand, doing like this. I'm not even left-handed.
Nope, he's not.
Phone falls out of my hand, hits the concrete, right? But I'm riding a bike with one hand. I noticed I'm about to ride over my phone. So I said, let me kind of steer out the way. But at the same time I steered, instead of grabbing just the handlebars, grabbed the front brake. Guess what happened to me? Flew over the handlebars. Over the handlebars. Good, then, mind you, the funny thing is I did a full roll, stood straight up. Looked around, I ain't see nobody. Got back on the bike, got my phone, checked there, make sure everything was fine. I was like, okay, I'm good. Then in the corner, I see somebody, a pest control guy spraying. All I see him like, you good? Like, that's all I see, like this, and I'm like, oh, somebody saw me. So I say that story to say, I don't know if this is the title, but it's like, I was trying to do too much, and in doing so, trying to do too much, I could have hurt myself. I could have really hurt myself.
Yeah.
But it was a lesson that I need to kind of slow down, stop trying to do too much. So that's kind of basically that's what we're gonna talk about.
Okay.
So kind of like I said, going into me thinking about this is like, I guess I'll ask you this question. So,
Oh gosh.
So. Do you know when you're doing too much? Without somebody else's input, do you know if you're doing too much?
Yes.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
I feel like I'm more self-aware now than I've been previously.
Okay.
Yes, I'm just gonna leave it there. I don't know where we're gonna go in the conversation,
Okay.
But yes, I will say now I do know when I do too much, and I also feel like as I get older, my body tells me that I'm doing too much.
Okay, cool. So kind of to go in, that's perfect. I don't want you to go to any further because, a lot of times, like I say, what you kind of say is your body tells you, like we have these signs that tell us when we're doing too much. And like even for me, like my body told me I probably shouldn't be doing the skates today and riding the bike. Just pick one. I decided to do both, and I flipped over. So the first thing I kind of would do is give a couple things of signs that I'll say that we know we're doing too much. So like one of them I would say, and this is not like the top one, but that you're not sleeping good, you're not feeling fully rested. So that's one of them. So it's like we tend to think sleep is over. A lot of people say sleep is overrated. But
yeah, I know a lot of people say, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Yeah, but you need that to be able to, not do too much because you kind of cloud your judgment sometimes that you think you can do everything.
And that's how we were built. We were built to rest. Mm-hmm. When we sleep, that's when our body can recover from everything that we put it through for that day. Mm-hmm. And when you don't sleep or you don't get enough sleep, it doesn't give your body enough time to recover before you're then again putting it through some things.
Correct.
And so that's why I said I know I can feel it in my body because that will be the situation. It's like, okay, so I'm gone, like especially because I'm trying to lose weight, right? Mm-hmm. One of the key things that often gets overlooked when you're trying to lose weight is that you have to get significant amounts of sleep.
Correct. So
that your body can prepare, so that your metabolism also too can work. Like if you're shortchanging your sleep, then you're shortchanging your metabolism, and therefore you're not going to be able to lose that weight that you're desiring to do. Because you can do all the other things right and still be at the same weight. I know this so well. So
the other thing is, again, another sign that you're doing too much is you're either feeling overwhelmed or you feel burnt out. You get what I'm saying? No, just
overwhelmed, burnt out. Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. These are just different signs. So that your schedule is packed, but you continue to try to add more into the hours that you could be doing something else or not doing something else.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The reason why I paused because my question would be, well, what does that look like for you? Like, how does that show up in your life? And it's like, for me, when I'm overwhelmed and feeling burnt out. Well, it's twofold. So when I feel overwhelmed, I feel anxious.
Okay.
And so that's me. I am constantly on the go, trying to do all the things by myself, not giving anybody an opportunity to even help, not asking for help, being snippy, because I'm very task driven at that point. Mm-hmm. So that's that one thing. But when I feel burnt out, I'm over it. Mm-hmm. And so I have a lack of focus. I have a lack of motivation to do anything. Mm-hmm. And I kind of just become a little, I guess, lethargic because I've reached, like, burnt out is, like I said, is done. It's a done deal.
Yeah.
I can't grasp anything. I can't. I literally can't do anything. Yeah. So.
Okay. Yeah. And then the last one that I have, which is serious, but quite often we don't see, is that something suffers.
Yes.
It can be your health. It can be your family. It can be your business, your work. Something's going to suffer because...
Your marriage.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. I'm just... mm-hmm. So you're... 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 again, you don't see that part because you're so focused on just doing. You miss out that. So I kind of want to just give a few. I guess is any other ones you can think of off the top of your head? I just kind of want to kind of touch those 4 first, and then kind of go into a little bit more of kind of like ways you can stop from doing too much or prevent yourself from doing too much. So, we kind of, one of the things, like I'll say for myself, that day when I went over the handlebars, the first thing I was like, you know what? I need to stop and I need to rest. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you just need to stop and take a break. Because taking that break will allow your mind, your body, everything to kind of recover. And depending on, like for me, it was more of the exercise portion. Like, I haven't ridden skates in 20 years. I was just trying to push myself to just continue doing it. Mm-hmm. But I needed to take that break as well as even riding the bike. Like, I needed to take the break so my body could recover at the same time that I wasn't pushing myself to even hurt something or hurt myself further on down the line. Mm-hmm. So, you got anything about that? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
The next one I came up with is basically just saying no. One of the things that even myself that I had to learn over the years, even us being married, we have to set boundaries and priorities.
Yes.
What's more important rather than just doing. And this for me, and the example I have is just when we used to be the part of a church where we was serving, and then we was doing more serving than actually, I would say, even serving each other or even our family. Being present, so we couldn't set that boundary because we was like, okay, we're serving.
Right, and I am all for the boundaries. I think in setting boundaries also comes with doing the work to prioritize what's important.
Yeah.
A lot of time we think that we have to do everything all at once at the same time, and first of all, that's not feasible. Because although I believe women like to pride themselves on being like great multitaskers, you never are able to give 100% to to multiple tasks at the same time, simultaneously. So you have to prioritize. Oftentimes, and even in that moment when you were saying that when we were serving, we were constantly serving, and that was like the primary focus. But the other thing that got shortchanged was us also receiving spiritually.
Correct.
Like I felt like we were kind of in a spiritual standstill because we were constantly just giving of our time and our talents. Yeah. And and like I said, we were our inners, our spiritual souls were not growing at that time. And I think so that caused a domino effect. Because then I feel as though, because that's another thing why I say I feel like I'm more self-aware when I am doing too much, because I feel like when my relationship with God suffers, or let me say it that the opposite way, when I am spending time with God consistently and really building myself up spiritually, when other things are not going well, God calls it out. So then he will pinpoint, or he will show me how to prioritize certain things because other things are suffering, or I'm putting the wrong things ahead of head of either family, you, whatever. But because I have that spiritual connection, that strong connection is there, I can get discernment in other areas. But when that's weak, everything else is weak. And then it's just kind of like there's no boundaries. Everything's just kind of like all in together.
Okay. No, that's good. Cause it's I know it took me with setting boundaries. It took me a while because not saying a while. It took me more because I was trying to what's the word? I guess the word is serve, but just serve others. And
I think the problem that, I don't necessarily want to call it a problem.
Yeah.
The talent you struggle with is that you're a jack of all trades.
yeah,
So because you're skilled in a variety of sometimes random things, you have a heart to, like you said, serve and just to help.
yeah,
And so you're like, oh, I can do that. Oh, I can do that. Because I know at one point we were in a difficult season,
Yeah.
and I was just like, I feel like it's easier for you to go and help others versus spend time with me and the kids.
Mm-hmm. No, I remember
And that was like a realization, because you don't see it.
Yeah.
Because you're constantly like, oh, I can do it. Of course I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're friends, we're family. Yeah, of course I can help you out with that. I can do it. And it's like, yes, you can, but you might say yes to that person, but what are you saying no to?
Correct.
And that is, I think, is extremely important for people to understand why it's so important to say no.
Mm-hmm.
Because your no is saying yes to whatever you want to prioritize in life. So,
No, that is facts. What you're saying, and it's true because even like you just said, it was I was there to help others, but then it was like when it was time for me to be here for you guys, it was like, but I have to do this, I have to do that because I said I was gonna help this person, instead of like you said, saying no to that, then it will allow me to say yes to something. The kids, can you do this with me? Can you draw? Can you color? Things like that. And even just spending time with you, like us focusing on time for us. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. One of the things that I also kind of came up with that I'm going to need your assistance on because I'm still new to journaling, right? And this is why, because when you're doing, I guess I'll say when I'm doing too much, if I'm putting stuff down in my planner and stuff like that, I have all these things I need to get through today. I got to put a check to make sure I'm completing these things. For me, when I don't finish something, I'll say for myself, for me, I can easily just say, I'll push it off. I'll put it to the next day. So whatever I don't finish, just push it off to the next day. So because you've been doing planning longer than me, how does that work for somebody who's saying, I have to complete what I got in my to-do list for today? How are you, I know you don't easily just say, let's move it to the next day. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm asking you that question.
Okay, so great. So I'm glad you asked the question. I did not know where you were going. So 2 things. So you said journal and planning. They're 2 different things.
I'm sorry, planning. Not planning.
So journaling is either just doing a feelings dump or whatever, or you have prompts or whatever. Yeah. So that's writing out your thoughts and helping to process things and so forth. So that's different. Yeah. Planning is like like putting a calendar together, your to-dos and whatever. Mm-hmm. So the way that I plan is that I list everything that I feel like I have to get done. Okay. And then I prioritize. Mm-hmm. What things do I have to get done that I physically have to do it? Okay. Like no one else can do. Okay. Then it's what can I outsource? Okay. And then then it's just the if I have time. Okay. Some people do it based off of the amount of time that each of those tasks then take. Okay. And then they were like, if you can do, so sometimes they'll say set a timer for 20 minutes. Have whatever you can get done in that 20 minutes, great. And then you'll take a break or do something else. And so it kind of time, like buckets of time. Okay. Now what I've learned is that for me, I have to, when I write, I have to get it out of my head.
So you have to put it somewhere.
I have to put it on I have to write it down.
Gotcha.
And so what I've started to do, and not necessarily say, hey, today, this is what I got to get done.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is what I need to get done for the week.
Gotcha.
These are must have. If it's by a due date, because school, has due dates,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm like, I have to get this done by this date. So I'll, block it out, and that's how I would do it. Now, if I don't get something done in a day and it's not due that day, oh well.
Okay.
Because it needs to be not only it needs to be important, it needs to be something that only I can do, and it needs to be I guess it needs to have it needs to provide a impact, it needs to be significant enough for me to do it.
Mm-hmm.
All those things you should get done in your day.
Mm-hmm.
Very rarely are you going to have a full day of things that are urgent, important, and impactful on your to-do list that if you don't get done today, that is detrimental to your day.
Okay.
Because those things are just naturally going to happen.
Okay.
For example, yes, I have to, if I had to take the kids to school, that has to get done. It has to get done by a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
If it doesn't get done, that is detrimental to my day because now I have the kids, or I have to go to the school and explain why they're late, or I have to sign them in because they're late. There's consequences to those actions that will negatively impact my productivity for the day.
Okay.
But the other ones that don't, so naturally, like I said, it'll naturally fall into place. So if there's things on your to-do list at the end of the day that you didn't get done, I don't automatically move them to the next day.
Okay.
The next day, same process. Okay, before I get started on my day, what do I feel like are my priorities? And so because I am constantly writing things down, I just look at my list. And I'm like, wait, so is there anything new that's come up that I need to add to that list?
Okay.
If it is, I put that down, and then I'm bucketing. I'm like, okay, I'm going to take care of this, this, and this today, and that, or whatever. And I'm just going through my list. I prioritize, then I try to do it. Whatever, like I said, same thing. Whatever is not detrimental to getting done that day, if it falls off, it falls off. But I don't automatically take the previous day unchecked things and add it to the next day, because you only get 24 hours in a day. And then sometimes stuff doesn't get done.
Okay, that's kind of where.
But that's what I'm saying. Sometimes things won't get done, and it's not like, as long as it's not, like I said, doesn't ruin the rest of the day or the week.
Okay. No, that's,
you got to be okay with the pivot too.
Okay, that's kind of why I asked, because I know from myself, the things I have on a list is not like it's detrimental. Like some of the things that I may have not finished or I didn't complete are not detrimental. Like, because when I put something on my list, it's something that I know I have to get done like later in the week. So if I don't finish that day, I know I have a few days to do it, because kind of like you're saying with the due date. But I was kind of thinking towards individuals who, like, they put it down and they have to get it done. It's like, yeah, I put it down, but I have to get it done for my day. Like, again.
I mean, there are people out there, but I will say at the end of the day, was it really that important to get done?
Okay.
And I think what we do is, yes, when you're putting a list together, you're putting a list of to-dos. So some people are really not even planning the things that are really truly important and putting it on their plan, put it in their planner or their to-do list. And that's like making sure that you're connecting with your spouse, making sure you're spending time with your kids. Very rarely do you find those things on somebody's to-do list, but they're very important. And if you don't make space in your day for those things, that's when you get a disconnect.
Okay.
So that's what I would say to that. To the whole planning.
Oh, to the planning thing.
What?
Yeah, because I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out where you was going.
Well, I was just answering your question.
Okay. So then another one is basically I said to stop doing too much is get some rest. We kind of talked about it before, but I also kind of think of getting rest meaning, kind of what you said just now, spending that time with your family, with your spouse, because being able to just sit and just talk with your spouse, you know, just being able in the presence of your kids, because like with our kids, they was on electronics. They just want you to be near.
They do.
And
literally
you know,
just in the
it's
room.
not even just be in the vicinity, and then it's like, all right, cool. But just, you know, that for me, you know, in this job I was before, and now I'm in a different. That to me, that's rest, because I'm there. I'm with the kids. I'm present, and even with us, like, you know, us having our time that we, you know, our a date night time. You know, just being in the jacuzzi and just talking for 3-4 hours. That's rest, because, you know, for me, I'm just saying, for me, that's rest, because it's just a relaxation thing. It's where we, you know, it's not something we, I don't say, and I don't want to say it like this because it sounds wrong, but not putting much effort into it, because, you know, we're not, you know, it's just us talking, just conversating. It's not like we are, you know, forcing things. I guess that's probably the word.
I don't necessarily see that as rest. I do see it as connection.
Okay.
And I think I feel like that's what all it boils down to, right? When you're doing too much, that means you're prioritizing things over the health of your relationship. And your connection.
It doesn't with God. Like you said it earlier, same thing, your connection with God. If you're trying to do stuff, how are you connected with God? So,
right, and it shows up different ways, right? So if, and that's what I was saying earlier, like when I feel overwhelmed, it's because I've taken on everything. I'm not communicating, I'm not willing to outsource, not necessarily outsource, but share responsibilities. I'm not talking to you. Our communication is suffering because I feel like I have to I have to do this all myself.
Okay.
I have to do this all myself, or I'll throw a random, like, I should say random, but I'll throw a task at you and not give you much context behind it. And then I will like, hey, can you do this? And you say yes. And I'll leave it at that. But then if you don't do it in the time that I wanted you to do it in, now I see, that's why I don't ask for help. Because I asked you to do that, you say yeah, but then you didn't do it, so it was still on me. Yeah. But it was because I gave insufficient information.
Correct. You didn't get the full.
Exactly.
The full
like if I wanted you to do something, if I asked you to do something and I wanted it done in a certain manner, like a certain time frame, I should have provided those details for you so that you can then say
yes or no.
Yes, I can do that, or no, I can, or yes, I can do that thing, but not in that time.
Correct. Yeah.
Because you're also working. And so I think that's the whole point when we start, when we're getting overwhelmed or when we're doing too much, it's because we're taking on roles and responsibilities that we're not supposed to be doing. Okay. So for example, like I said, I don't really know how to like put this thought together. So we're probably gonna have to edit this a little bit. Okay, so we often try to do things that we are not empowered to do. Okay. So for example, like and I know we've had this issue with our kids because we try to alleviate we try to minimize them being disappointed and failing. So we get frustrated in trying to get them to study. For example, our oldest, trying to teach him better study habits because we know in the long run this is going to help him out, right? Correct. And then he's not gonna, he won't have to deal with poor grades. Will he be able to, play sports or be in any extracurricular activities? Like we know the benefits of him improving on his study habits. Correct. But yet he's not. He wasn't grasping that. He wasn't really relating with our tips and our approaches to it, right? So we were getting frustrated because we were trying to learn, like get him to do it. Like we were trying to do it for him, basically. Like we were like, you do it this way, you will succeed. Correct. That is out of our realm of power. Like all we can do is provide the information. If he really wants it, he would try it. He would come back and be like, well, Mom, I tried that. It didn't really work. Is there any other way? Or do you know any other things? Whatever. Like that is that ongoing, he has to want it for himself kind of thing before it will change, but we're trying to make him change. Like, we can force you to change, and we can't do that.
Correct.
All right. So that's like and so that is in marriage too. It's like, we can force you to change. Like, we think we can change each other.
Yeah.
That's out of our realm.
Correct.
So we're trying to do things to make you change.
Yeah.
So either it's like, I'm going to do things to annoy, like I'm going to nag you until you change, or I'm going to, because the way I do it, I don't nag. I just don't talk. I'm gonna take this all on myself. I'm gonna do it. And he gonna see how good I'm doing it, and he's gonna want to imitate that and do it. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm doing all this. I'm like literally drowning, but I won't say anything because I'm not. How dare? I'm not wrong here. I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
So I'm doing all this, and he doesn't even get it. And so then, like I said, it's like a downward spiral. So then it's like, well, if he ain't gonna do it, then I ain't gonna ask him to do it.
What sense does that make?
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So then, like I said, I'm overwhelmed, but I'm also feeling disconnected. Like, all that to say, I'm disconnected because I'm frustrated because I'm trying to do things that I shouldn't be doing. There's roles and responsibilities within your relationship, however you all define it, whatever, that we just, like, he's going to do certain things, I'm going to do certain things. And when I try to take on doing his role, like when I try to take on the role of a husband, the role of a father, in addition to all the roles that I already have, you're bound to get overwhelmed. And you don't prioritize getting to share in the resolution of the problems. Okay. So, yes, disconnection. Also, too, not realizing that we're a team. And instead of trying to be a LeBron and try to win games, because
your face.
Just keep going. Anyways, we're not gonna go there. We're not gonna talk about that. But like trying to be a one member star.
Yeah.
Enlist the team. And then that way you can be like a Jordan and Pippen kind of thing. Instead of trying to just do everything yourself, and also feeling like your feelings are neglected or are not cared about. Because I never think about what that makes you feel when I'm just like busy bee. Busy. I'm just doing all the things. So how does that make you feel?
Oh, like you say you don't know, but you know, and that was kind of something that I was going to add on what you said, because as us being a team, we know when something's off on each of us.
I think we are getting there, yes.
And I'll say, I'm not going to give the full example. Just Tuesday. Just think about what happened on Tuesday. I had a face, and you was like, "What's wrong?" Nothing. On Monday. It was Monday, and I was just moving. I was just doing. And that's what I'm saying, like, as a team, and if you take it into sports, the same thing. If you see one of your teammates is off, do you just ignore it and say, oh, he's going to figure it out? No, like, you normally, like, hey, what can, how can I help? If you're playing, basketball, it's like, oh, listen, drive, dish it out. I got you over here. To build that confidence back up. Yeah. Football, same thing. It's like, hey, what's wrong? Hand hurt, like you're not blocking. Like, it's what's wrong? Okay, let's change. Let's do something else so you're not hurting yourself. Like, so you notice these things. And like I said, with us, and even I said as a team, you get to see that stuff. So you when something is wrong with your spouse. Yeah. And that's where and that's where you have to like you said, communicate. Yes. You have to be able to communicate in a way so that they can understand. It's like, listen, I'm not going against you. I'm trying to to be the help for you. So you don't have to do it all. And like I say, even just like our conversations over the past 2 weeks. We've had these conversations. About doing too much. Like, that's what I'm saying. About doing too much. And, for me, like I said, you say, and I go back to your question. For me, like how I feel, it's like okay, like, and I just think about just passing me the ball, like. Stop. Mm-hmm. Just pass me the ball. Like I'm here with you. I'm going with you. Just pass me the ball. So that's how I think about it all the time.
Right, and I do think it comes to an authentic communication. Mm-hmm. So like, because there have been times when you would ask me what's wrong, I'd be like, I'm fine. Mm-hmm. It's fine. It's fine. But what I'm learning, like, it's not fine, of course. Well, that's the most sarcastic, everything's going down, kind of thing. But I'm finding, like, even if I don't really have the word, like the language for it, whatever I do have, I say. So, like, for example, when I got that information earlier this week about schedule, like upcoming schedule, and I just said, I just got upcoming schedule changes. I'm overwhelmed, anxious. Yes,
Yeah,
I was like, I'm feeling anxious.
Yeah.
And you were like, okay, well, hey, let's not talk about it right now.
I said, stop doing.
Stop doing
everything.
Like,
stop doing all the multitasking
and focus on work.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And we did. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think it's those, I might not know exactly like what I'm feeling right now, but I do know something's off. Mm-hmm. Or I do know that something's not right. Like, because I know I like when it comes to making like decisions, I'm like,
because it's not just about you.
Yes, it doesn't just affect me. It affects our relationship and our family. And so it's just like, if there's an uneasiness there, you need to talk to your spouse about that. What is that feeling? Like, why is it? Why does it seem like this is a good opportunity? Because, I mean, it's not always negative, right? Mm-hmm. Or the intent is not always bad. Yeah. It's like there are good things that can happen with that have good intentions behind it, but it might not be the right time or the right season for you and your family. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, you won't be able to unpack that until you talk and figure out what that feeling is. And like I said, when we and that's like when we are like, even with God, like when me and God are when I'm in sync with God, He ain't in sync with me. But when I'm in sync with God, it gives me discernment. It gives me an easier spirit of discernment. Okay. When I'm in sync with Jay, it gives me an easier discernment on when things are not right or when things are going well, what needs to be tweaked. Yeah. And that really that I think is what busyness, the feeling of overwhelm or doing too much is attacking in your relationship. That connection, being in sync. Just because we're in sync does not mean that we're identical.
Correct.
It just really means that I know him, he knows me. We're moving at the same rate. That's also another thing about Team Too Much. Because I could be moving faster than him or vice versa. And then I'm like, wait, what? What are we doing here? We just got everybody just going.
Like the 4x100 instead of me trying to get you the hand up, you already gone. It's like, wait, hey,
right.
Same thing.
That or you running a 4x1, I'm running a 4x4. Different strategies.
It just keeps going.
Those are different strategies. Two different races require two different strategies. Yeah. And if we're running at two different strategies and two different races, we're not going to get anywhere.
Correct. Yeah.
So but I don't know. I still have to say. I don't remember what I was talking about. So I don't know where I was trying to land. Hopefully I got there. If not, I don't know. Just edit that out. I don't know. You was basically just. I lost my train of thought in all of the other things. So
like you said, everything you said was right on because you were saying being in sync. Because the simple fact is.
Oh yeah, that's what I was. Yes. But I don't know what point I was trying to.
I was like, because the simple fact is like, kind of what I said earlier regarding you knew there was something wrong with me. You didn't know exactly what it was, but you knew there was something. and us being able to communicate, talk, and
I do have another point though.
but that's how we can be in sync, just the same way you're saying with, like, you know, being in sync with God. You have that discernment. It's the same thing in our relationship. So,
And so the other point I was going to say is also in that being in sync, or we've learned is that we don't have to fix every problem that is brought to us.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's really like, yes, there's something going on. This is, I feel like, especially if you have like this plan, because I'm a planner, right? So we have this plan, there's these goals, there's this, you know, whatever. And if I'm trying to talk through something, I don't need you to come and be like, oh, well, what you need to do is this, and this. And I was like, that's not why I brought it to you. I did not come to you asking for a solution. I want you to help me talk through it.
Yeah.
Like be a sounding board, whatever. And so, because that can also too just shut down the connection. Like, especially if I was attempting to do this, like this is not something that we do easily. And if I've, you know, got the courage to like bring this up to you and you're like, oh, that's easy. What you need to do is this, and this. I'm like, okay, I bet I won't bring anything else to you.
But, and see, I'll say it like this. No, it's not negative. I'm just saying, it's like,
go for it.
This is where you have to understand your spouse, understand how they communicate certain things, because, like, and I'll just say it, you know, when we used to work together at home, she can be over here just talking, and she'll talk out loud, and I'm like,
I do.
I look over like, you talking to me? Because the thing is, if you're talking and you're trying to say something to me and I'm not focused on what you're talking, I'm not going to hear anything you said. So she'd be talking, like, are you talking to yourself? Oh yeah? Okay, cool. And I'll go back to what I do, because I want to make sure that if you are talking to me, I'm focused on what you're going to say. Because that's basically what you're saying is like, you have to be able to use the active listening and be able to dig more. If your spouse says something, you'd be like, and that's where you, like, with your examples, like, okay, you're bringing them. You can say you're bringing this to me for a purpose of what? You want me to help you do this? You want me to, like, so you get an understanding what that conversation is about, instead of just like, well, you know, I think you should. No, like, okay, pause for a second. So, you know, you just ask it. Like, you just ask the question.
Yeah.
So.
No, and that we even had an example of this earlier, or maybe yesterday. Who knows? All the days are blending in together for me. But where you voice your opinion on the situation, and then I was like, "Is that all?" And you were like, "Yeah. What else? What else you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I thought you had an opinion about what I should do." And you were like, "Oh, do you want that?" And I'm like, "Yeah."
Oh, yeah.
So literally, it's come to where I have to ask now. I was like, "Okay, so what do you think I should do?"
Yeah.
And he doesn't just offer it up, because before, if I would bring anything, he would be like, "Okay, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna do this and that," and I'm like, "That's not what."
That's good. That's a good point, because as you said, I was like, "Oh, I did do that." Yeah.
Yeah, because
normally I used to just be like, "I'm trying to fix it."
Like I said, some different paces. He was like, "Okay, jumping in. All right, so what we're gonna do is this, and this, and then what if we, and then carry the one, subtract the two," and I'm like, "That's not what I want right now. No."
Oh goodness.
So
okay. Well, like I said, I don't have any other ones.
I think this is an episode that's all over the place and good at the same time.
Yeah. It's, again, we basically took it from, you know, just trying to do too much, and then we're tying it all into how we can. Because
like, we're really in a season of doing too much.
Yeah.
And that's so weird, because we went from a season of kind of like, well, I was forced to slow down, and then now it's like things are picking up, and so and really like having to be in sync, having to have a connection, because all the things that are coming up are not bad things.
They're not. But we just
But
gotta
they
figure
can't be bad things if I keep saying yes. If we keep saying yes to everything,
Yeah.
it will have a negative impact on our relationship, on our family, because we're going to be stressed out all the time.
Correct.
And I know God has not blessed us to do that. So
I mean, I'm not blessed to be stressed. I don't know why.
not to that level of stress for sure.
So, we try to end off, kind of our podcast with a marriage.
Advanced tip.
Yeah, I was like, what? I couldn't figure it out. A marriage advanced tip. So, for this, the tip that I had was, basically what we just talked about, being in sync, being able to see your spouse, being able to see them, and being able to articulate how you see if they're trying to do too much, basically, and being able to have the conversation and let them know it's like, okay, we need to decide on a different option instead of us, either one of us or both of us trying to do too much.
Yes, I feel like every time we do these marriage advanced tips, it just brings up something else for me to talk about. But I'm going to try to keep it short. I will say, I'm just going to add to that.
Okay.
That it's also okay to say, I feel like you're prioritizing everything else over me.
Mm-hmm.
When will there be time for us?
Mm-hmm.
And it's okay to say that. Because it goes into the seeing, like being able to see that your spouse is doing too much. Hey, that's great, but don't forget me.
Mm-hmm.
Hello. So.
And I saw a little infographic. I guess I don't know what it's called, but a picture, and it showed just basically like, hey, we have plans, and it shows one picture of our plan from A to B, and then it says God's plan. So that same timeline, but there's lows, there's highs. So you see God, God's, you're still gonna get to the finish line, but it's gonna be a different way. So it's not always. I don't say it's not always. It's not our plan. Like, yeah, we can make our plans, but if God has a different plan for us, there's a reason why He wants to delay that finish line, because it's something you need to learn during that. That when you get to that finish line, something you learned during that time is going to help you get through something you're going to face there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, so that's the advanced marriage tip for us.
All right.
This week. So, like always, follow, subscribe, share to someone.
Yes. That's it?
Yeah.
All right. Until next week, because remember, the real work begins at I do. Peace.